Friends. I'm so happy to be here with you today on the 2025 World Card Making Day. I'm Teah Woodward. I've been an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator since 2019, and today I'm going to demonstrate this card using the Beautiful Pumpkins stamp set and the branching out dies that I used to create this label. So let's get started. And of course, a funny thing showed up on my screen. There, now I can see. So this is a kind of, you can see from the top down, it's kind of a fun fold. It's actually quite simple to make and made really pretty by these designer series papers. So I'm going to start off by showing you all of our supplies. So we're going to start off, so this inner portion that has the folds that you see here, this is 4 1/4 by 11 inches. It's scored at 2 inches, 3 3/4 inches, 7 1/4 inches, and 9 inches. And then these are going to get folded in to create this doorway, like this. And I've already done this, but I'm going to do it again. So I'm just going to go in and do a nice burnishing of my score line so that everything lays nice and flat. So there we are. Then there is behind there's an actual card base that's one piece. And it is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So that's our standard size card, right? Then we have 3 different sets of designer series papers. It's been a while since I've done a video, so be patient with me, pretty please. I had surgery and I'm just getting back into the swing of things. So I cut 4 pieces of the plaid. This is from the Gathering Together designer series paper. I cut 2 that are 1 inch by 4 inch and 2 that are 1 1/2 inch by 4 inch. So set these aside. And then from the Country Woods designer series paper, I cut 2 pieces that are 1 3/4 inches by 4 inches. Then we have an inner message liner that is 3 1/4 inches by 4 inches. That's just out of the regular weight basic white. And then I used those branching out dies, and I'll show those to you real quick. So see these dies here? I love these. These are my new favorite background dies. And I have used the second to smallest and the third to smallest dies to create the matte layer and then the sentiment layer label. And then we'll need some scrap for stamping and cutting out this pumpkin and the vine with the leaves. All right. I'm so excited to be here. I could barely talk. I'm so excited. It's just been, I used to do videos every single week and I haven't been able to do them for quite a while. So I'm really glad to be on the recovery end and to be here today. So I am going to start by taking this 4 1/4 inch by 5 1/2 inch background piece and my 2 plaid pieces that are 1 inch by 4 inch. And I am going to adhere them just like this. I like green glue, but the seal would work just as well. I am all autumn. I mean, we even had chili and cornbread for dinner tonight. We are all autumn at our house right now. I had all my pumpkins out on display, not live pumpkins, but my glass decorator pumpkins out on display for my catalog launch party. And so everything is full on autumn at our house right now. Loving it. Absolutely love every bit of it. We've got the cooler night temps, and actually starting today was the beginning of our cooler day temps too. When I say cooler day temps, I'm in Richland, Washington, so the cooler day temp is mid 70s. Okay, so I've got my 2 pieces of plaid. So I've just positioned those so that they are equidistant on 3 sides. And I'm going to bring in this piece that's actually going to get adhered on here after I've got other things glued on. So let's see, I am going to start with the wood designer series paper. Now, there's something that I like to do with designer series paper before I add it to the front of a card. I should have done it on that last piece, but I missed doing it. I'm gonna go ahead and do it on the remaining pieces. That white edge that shows when you cut the designer series paper, you see that white edge there? I like to make that go away. So I'm actually gonna use a sponge dauber, and I'm going to use early espresso ink, and it doesn't take hardly anything. You just put some ink on your sponge dauber and you run it along the edge. And that's all I'm doing. And I like to do that because it just makes it look richer when you look at the sides of the card, you know, at the card from the sides. That's just my personal preference, and it's absolutely not necessary for this fold. I do this on a lot of my cards. So I'm just taking that white edge off. So when I'm using this brown paper against the brown paper, I don't have a white edge. I'm actually going to do it on these two plaid pieces too. And it just makes the DSP pop a little bit right off of that cardstock. And I'm not trying to add any ink to the front of the designer series paper. You could, and that's always a lovely look as well, but that's not my intention today. All right, one more to go here. So, 2 more sides. So I have been making loads and loads and loads of autumn and Christmas cards. Absolutely love it. This is my favorite time of year for card making. Well, that and Valentine's Day. Okay, putting that away. Gonna close this up so I don't make any messes. All right, so now I'm going to adhere my designer series papers. So I'm going to apply my wood grains to those 2 front panels. And like I said, seal would work just fine. I just happen to prefer green glue. And I'm positioning that so that I have an equidistance, top, bottom, and sides. Looks like I have a little bit of extra glue popping out there, but I can wipe that off. And afterwards, if I still have a little bit of shine or something, I can go in with my rubber eraser and remove that. So I'm recording this about a few days before the actual World Card Making event. I can't wait to watch everyone's videos. I will be sitting on the shores of Lake Chelan in Washington during this event, and as is the same for me every year, I'm always at the same place the first weekend of October, and that is when World Card Making Day is. So I am going to adhere these next. Little pop-up designer series paper when this fold opens up. See a little bit too much glue right there. We have a boat racing event that we go to, and we used to be more active on during the actual event, but now we're just spectators, and it's one of my favorite places to vacation, especially in the early fall. It's absolutely stunning over there. And One more here. And I'm just trying to line it up so that the top and bottom of my designer series papers all look about the same distance. So there's that. Now, before I adhere this to this piece, I'm going to go ahead and make my inner message liner. So I'm going to grab that. That's that 3 1/4 by 4 inch basic white. Now here I am going to do 2-step stamping. And because my designer series paper had Cajun craze in it, my pumpkins are gonna have a tinge of Cajun craze in them. And then I'm going over them with Timid Tiger. So I'm gonna use the little pumpkin here. See, I've got on the inside here, I have the little pumpkin. So I'm going to stamp with Cajun craze, and I'm gonna stamp off. So I'm going to have a spare piece of, I should have a piece of grid paper down, and I forgot to grab that. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my scrap paper here. So I really want, this is Cajun craze at full strength. And then here it is, once stamped off. See how much lighter it is? So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to stamp off. And now over here, I'm going to stamp in the lighter color. Then I'm going to put this away for a minute. I have to get that back out for the big pumpkin, but I just don't want to mess. I'm going to clean this up. I'm a clean as I go girl. That's just how I am. All right, I'm layering Timid Tiger on here. I wanted a bit of orange in my pumpkin, not just straight Cajun craze, which would have been beautiful too, but I wanted to pull in an orange, and I'm doing this full strength, and I can line it up because it's photopolymer. And look at that, it gives us all that wonderful detail. Closing that one up. And again, I'm cleaning my chamois. I love my chamois. Here is the little, let's see, I should have shown you that. So in our stamp set, see, we've got the base, and then we've got our detail that we come in over the top with, or our distinctive, I think that's called. And then we have our stems, and then we have some leaves that we can stamp, or we've got some dies. For this stem, I'm going to use Pecan Pie. And it just nestles right down in there beautifully. Isn't that great? I clean as I go because I have a tendency to get my hands very, very dirty. And if I don't stay on top of it, I make a mess. I make a big mess. So then I pre-die cut, so you didn't have to watch me do it. I pre-die cut some of the vines, and I'll show you what those dies look like. So we've got the 2 different size pumpkins, we've got a leaf, we've got a couple of stems, we've got detailed stems, and then we've got these different leaf pieces. I used this with Old Olive. And for the inside here, I'm actually going to shorten this. I'm just going to tear it. It's real thin right there. And I'm just going to put a couple dabs of adhesive. Come on, there we go. There we go. And just a little dinky bit. I don't want to make a mess. All right, and then I am, oh good, it didn't land glue down. Here we go. And I'm sticking that right at the base of that stem. and coming off like that. Now this is ready to be adhered to the inside of my fun fold. Yeah, I love, love, love watching the World Card Making Day videos while I'm sitting in the sun in Chelan. It's just like the best of the best. And they have a couple of nice craft stores, and it all just gels perfectly for me. Okay, so here's the inside. Now I can turn this over and put my adhesive here, and I'm going to glue it onto the card back. I like the front of this, oops, that has the peekaboo couple of DSPs. All right. Let's see how I do here. And I need to scoot this, whoops, pick it up. This is hard to do with the camera between me and my project. There we go. Now let's see if I have any adhesive. Nope, no adhesive over there, no. Okay, beautiful. So here's our card. See, it stands like such. Now we're ready to put our label on. Now before I adhere my sentiment label to the matte layer, I want to stamp my sentiment. And the sentiment that I have chosen is thankful for the small things. And I'm stamping in early espresso. It looks kind of messy. I'm going to do a test over here and make sure. Yeah, see, it was messy. I'm going to clean this stamp and do that again. It looks like I got a little heavy-handed when I inked it up. Try that again. Here we go. There we go. And beautiful. Clean off my stamp. Okay, I am done with the early espresso. So next I am going to adhere my sentiment or my label to the matte layer, and then I'm going to adhere it to the left side of the front fold here. I'm a little embarrassed. I am not remembering the name of this fun fold all of a sudden. I've got everything else written in front of me and not the name of this fun fold. I want to call it a gate, but I don't think that's right. Okay, scooch that around till it looks about even. There we go. Now I'm going to put adhesive just on the left side of this label. And I'm centering this. Let's see how well I did. I think I'm straight. Okay, here we are. It's coming together. Okay, so now we need our big pumpkin. So I am going to stamp and die cut. I've actually already stamped and die cut, but I'm just going to show you my process again for creating the pumpkin in the multi-tone. So I am inking up in Cajun Craze. I am going to stamp off up here, and then I am going to stamp down here. Got a nice light tone here. I am done with Cajun Craze. And I know this irritates some people that I'm cleaning as I go, but if I don't, I will definitely make a mistake. And then I'm using Timid Tiger over the top of the stamped off Cajun Craze, just so I get a little bit more of an orange tone. And that looks very nice, very dimensional. Then the stem is also a die cut. So again, I'm going to use the pecan pie. Just put that over here. Clean those two stamps, and then I am ready to assemble the pieces I've actually already die cut. So when I place my dies over these, I use Post-it tape to hold them in place. So I will move that, well, here I can show you. So here is pumpkin that I did earlier, and here is the stem that will go on just like that. And then here is the vine that I will use. Let me put this over here, and I can move this out of the way. I'm going to use a mini glue dot to adhere this stem. Perfect. And then I'm going to use dimensionals on the back of this pumpkin. So pull that off. You should have seen my hands earlier today when I was making this original card. I had earliest, you can still kind of see my fingers are stained. I had early espresso ink all over my hands. Okay. There we go. Then I am going to use mini glue dots, not mini glue dots, mini dimensionals on the back of this vine. And so I'm putting it behind those leaves. All right, I should have been using the point on my Take Your Pick tool to better place that. There we go. There we go. Oops. Crafting, and especially paper crafting, fills my heart with joy. Earlier this year, I had a very big surgery and I was not able to craft for, well, about 4 months. And because the medicines I was on and stuff, I couldn't track mentally. And my hands shook and I couldn't sit and I couldn't stand. And so I am so grateful, truly, truly, truly grateful to be back in my craft room and sharing what I love with others. All right, so I am ready to stick this down, and I kind of like having this. I want to make sure that my vine doesn't go over the top of the card, because it will definitely break when it goes into an envelope if it does. There we go. So that's good right there. All right. So next I am going to tie a linen bow, and I'm just going to do a single. I tried a double earlier and it actually looked like too much. So making myself a little linen bow. Maybe a little bit smaller. There we go. And a pair of scissors. And I need a mini glue dot. So do you use a take your pick tool? I use it for everything. It's my favorite tool. So there's my bow and my vine. So now I just need my gems. So I'm going to use the other end of my take your pick tool. I'm going to use the clay end for picking up my gems and putting them in place. So I'm going to put one about there, one somewhere right there, and let's go with one more. Okay, it flipped on me. There we go. And my friends, we have completed the beautiful pumpkin fun fold card. I hope you've enjoyed this, and thank you for your patience with me just getting back into this after a long while. I hope you enjoy all of your the presentations that you watched today, and I hope you are truly inspired to get to paper crafting. My best to you all, biggest hugs, and thank you for watching.